It is a very valid question. But why do we need to even ask this question? And furthermore, why is it important to answer the question? A lot of empaths could be considered enablers. It depends on several factors, which I'm going to break down in this reel. My name is Vital Germain. I'm a life coach, 7-time author, including the book Pink is the Color of Empathy. It's a 360 guide to being an empath, ranging from narcissist recovery to leveraging and optimizing this beautiful gift, often viewed as a burden, but a beautiful gift of empathy or heightened emotional intelligence. So the empath as an enabler. How and why does that happen? One of the common traits of the empath is people-pleasing. And through that sense of wanting to accommodate and please people, we don't often do what is necessarily right. Even though we live a life filled with integrity, we sometimes become hesitant to express our dislike of injustice. We sometimes hesitate to call people out on their abuse, or we are afraid to hold people accountable because our tendency to be kind and forgiving means we will oftentimes turn a blind eye, pretend it didn't happen, or this is really the point that I'm getting to, how we potentially become enablers. The empath has a tendency to be highly forgiving. And it's through that forgiving, and I'll give an example, I'll give several examples of how this can manifest to becoming an enabler. Somebody does something wrong to you, and you tell yourself, I'm going to take the high road, I'm going to let it slide, I'm not going to say something. Or, through our understanding, we validate why the behavior is maybe not as bad as what it really was. Well, they were drunk. When they're not drunk, they're so kind. Yeah, when they're drunk, they do some really mean, silly stuff. That's the validation the empath will lend to people because we are in search of understanding. We can feel why somebody might act out while they're drunk. But the reality is this. The choice they made to be intoxicated, and I'm just using alcohol as an example, it can be any form of transgression that impacts somebody negatively. I'll give another example. Let's go a little bit darker and a little bit deeper. And I'll take the cliche, the stereotype, a man has physically abused a woman. And oftentimes the woman will say, no, but he's usually very loving and very kind. Yeah, he was angry, he was frustrated. I said something to trigger him. And we validate it, which removes responsibility, removes accountability. And this example you can translate into any scenario that you experience. It can be as far as, I'm going really far now, it can be as far as witnessing a crime. We see a crime and our compassion maybe will say, I'm not going to report that person. We saw somebody steal something. And through our compassion, we're going to turn a blind eye. And sometimes it could be validated. But in general, when we turn a blind eye, we pretend it didn't happen. We don't hold them accountable. We don't call them out on it. We have then given that person the green card, the permission to continue that behavior or to repeat that behavior through our understanding or through our fear to say nothing. So we passively, indirectly become enablers. Usually the term enable means I literally handed you the gun. I literally handed you the gun. In this case now it's a question of I knew you had a gun. I saw you steal the bullets out of the drawer, and I still said nothing. That's a pretty intense example, but that's the behavior of the empath. Again, I'm going to repeat, we do one of two things. We validate why the behavior was potentially acceptable through our understanding, or through our people-pleasing, our desire to not be confrontational. our desire, our need to keep the peace, to minimize any traumatic event, any drama in our lives, we say nothing. That, unfortunately, becomes a form of enabling. And for the empath, it's an internal struggle, because our tendency is to fight and promote justice and fairness and heal and protect the weak, but also those who have bad behaviors. We think we can fix them with our kindness and with our love. There's in fact the expression, kill them with kindness. That is enabling, because you keep showing them kindness, which means you're forgiving, you're not holding them accountable. So if you don't want to be a passive or indirect enabler as an empath, there's only one option. You have to learn to become empowered. I can help you along that journey of empowerment, which will impact your life along multiple layers. But empowerment means that you own this identity, this beautiful, unique identity. You leverage it as your friend, removing the burden, the negativity, the curse, so to speak, of heightened sensitivity, of heightened awareness, of heightened ability to read people, whether they are lying or telling the truth, their authenticity or their inauthenticity. All these beautiful gifts that are gifts, but they only become gifts when you are empowered. Visit vitalgermain.com, check out my coaching page and see if I'm the right coach for you. Also, get this book, Pink is the Color of Empathy. The feedback from those who have read it have claimed that it's life-changing. They learn so much about themselves and their lives, empowering them, giving them infinite insight, enabling them to live a healthier, happier life as a result of self-awareness and understanding. Thank you for listening.